Welcome to the 428th episode of the Reading and Writing Podcast. Stay tuned for my interview with Mason Engel, a documentary filmmaker and a writer who filmed a documentary called The Books Tour, which is a story of his road trip to 50 independent bookstores in 50 days. Stay tuned for my interview with Mason Engel. Welcome back to the Reading and Writing Podcast. Today I'm interviewing Mason Engel, the creator of a new documentary, The Books Tour. Mason, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your documentary, The Books Tour, is about?
I'll take you back to 2019. This was 2 years after I had self-published a novel on Amazon, and the book had done well, not spectacular, and I was looking for other channels to market it in. So I turned to brick and mortar stores. I had this idea to take a cross-country road trip to 50 indie bookstores in 50 days, giving away a copy of my book at each store I visited, asking for feedback, and asking the bookseller to hand sell my book. That trip was, in theory, a good idea, but about 8-10 stores in, I got to Lawrence, Kansas, where I was walking into the Raven bookstore. And in the window, I saw this homemade-looking pamphlet entitled How to Resist Amazon and Why. Of course, that book has gone on to be somewhat of a phenom in the bookstore world, but it made me pause and think, because I was walking into this store with a self-published novel that was available only on Amazon. And essentially, I was asking booksellers to promote a product that was available only through their direct competitor. In hindsight, it seems so painfully, obviously insensitive. I guess I was just so preoccupied with my own career, my own agenda, that I never stopped to think. But from that point in the trip onward, I just became more interested in the industry itself, because the first several stores I had gone to, the booksellers had received me with open arms, very warm conversations, supportive, excited, enthusiastic, despite my insensitivity. And that spoke to me in a way. And I wanted to take the rest of the trip with a slightly changed perspective. The big change in perspective came when I decided to take a second road trip, this time around the East Coast with a camera guy, and we interviewed dozens of indie booksellers, basically asking different variants of the same question, which is, why should people care? Why should people shop at an indie bookstore? So between all the footage I got, the vlog type footage I got from the first trip, and these interviews from the second trip, we put together a 30-minute documentary that basically chronicles my transformation from an Amazon diehard to a lover of indie books.
When and where can people watch your documentary, The Books Tour?
Yeah, tickets are available from now until July 7th at thebookstourfilm.com. Again, Bookstour is Bookstour. And all the money we raise with ticket sales during this period will go to the Book Industry Charitable Fund, BINC for short, who has been the safety net for the book industry. If a bookseller falls on hard times, unexpected medical expense, that sort of thing, then BINC is there to help, because these booksellers usually don't have much of a runway financially because it's such a slim margin business. BINC has been doing terrific work, especially during the pandemic. So we're excited to partner with them and raise money during the ticket release.
So you said the ticket release. So if someone buys a ticket, can they watch the documentary immediately, or what's the process there?
Right. So the documentary will be ready for watching starting with the virtual premiere, which is one type of ticket, in mid-July. So come mid-July, and we're still working on a date there. Depending if you buy the premiere ticket, you can watch the film for the first time live and do a Q&A with me and some other team members afterward. Or when the film, right after the virtual premiere, you'll get access to a digital rental, which you'll have for a week or so for your viewing pleasure.
So is your book still published on Amazon?
It is still published on Amazon, and I've been speaking actually with a bookseller in Athens, Georgia, about this very topic. Her name's Janet at Avid Bookshop. And we're just talking about how self-published authors can support indie bookshops, because I think there is somewhat of a knowledge gap between those two parties. Many indie authors don't understand the implications of their actions online and where they do and don't distribute. And I think some booksellers, they don't fully appreciate the difficulty of being an indie author, because you can't ask these people to ignore the huge audience that Amazon has. So we've just been talking about how each of those different parties can support one another. But yes, my book is still up online.
And so when you originally published your ebook on Amazon, what did you know? What was your experience of independent bookstores before you took this tour?
Yeah, it was actually pretty minimal. I grew up in Columbus, Indiana, and we had an independent bookshop on our Main Street equivalent. But for some reason, I never really went there, though I was a voracious reader as a child. We had a Walden Books in our mall, which was part of Borders, now, of course, extinct. But I never really experienced the true artisan level indie bookshop until my 2019 road trip.
And so what do you think you learned about independent bookstores while you were on this 50 bookstores trip? Yeah.
Yeah. I'll tell you one kind of surface level thing that really goes deeper than that for me. But one little factoid that I learned in talking to so many bookstore owners is that when you walk into a bookstore and you look around and you hundreds or thousands of books on the shelves, there's someone in the back office or the bookstore owner or the manager who has gone through and chosen individually each one of those books. There's not some drag and drop method where you can just click a button and populate your store with however many books you want. It's a process. The booksellers are talking with publishing reps about what's coming out soon. They're analyzing past sales history to see what their clients have bought in the past and what they've enjoyed. They're keeping a pulse on the community and curating. That's one of the biggest value propositions of an indie bookstore. It's not just this cookie cutter template that's based on an algorithm. It's these recommendations are coming from people who know your community and sometimes know you. And I think that's a great thing. And it's a humbling thing too, when you walk into a store and you realize.
At Simple Mobile, you get the no contract advantage. Those other mobile companies make you think you're in control, but you're really not. They lure you in with shiny new phones and then lock you into long-term agreements. But Simple Mobile is different. You can get a 30-day plan starting at $25. You can also get the latest smartphones, or if you have a compatible phone you love, you can bring it. Just text BYOP to 611-611 to see if your phone is compatible. It's the reliability you need when you need it. All on a powerful nationwide 5G network. With no mystery fees, no activation fees, and no contract ever. All for less money and no contract ever. 5G capable device and SIM required. Actual availability and coverage and speed may vary. 5G network not available in all areas. 5G upload speed not yet available. Message and data rates may apply. Visit simplemobile.com/privacy policy for privacy policy. Service plan required for activation. Terms at simplemobile.com.
Get 30% shorter average wait time. When you buy and book your appointment at discounttire.com, you can get 30% shorter average wait time in the store. Discount Tire. Let's get you taken care of.
That there has been careful thought that's gone into every book selection. It amplifies the experience for me.
You mentioned this pamphlet that you saw about how to resist Amazon, I think you said was the name of it. I'm curious, I think I would characterize, and I don't mean this in a critical way, but from what you've explained, I would characterize probably your kind of knowledge about independent bookstores at the beginning is a little bit naive in terms of their interactions with Amazon, and you're asking them to, in effect, publicize something from their competitor. But I'm curious, were any of the reactions negative? Did you have any negative reactions in your...
Yeah, so definitely naive. And that's not critical at all. It's just, it's embarrassing now to talk about how naive I was. For the most part, everyone was overwhelmingly positive. It wasn't until I got to San Francisco where I went into a store and was just almost completely cold-shouldered. The bookseller was refusing to accept the copy that I was trying to give to the store. And by that time on the trip, I had already had my miniature reckoning with what I was doing and was tweaking the pitch I was making and focusing on an ask for feedback and not so much requesting that the bookseller actually sell my book. But even then, I think I was still associated with Amazon. And this particular bookseller did not appreciate that and at first refused to accept the book. Eventually she relented, but I think that was the only kind of awkward negative experience I had.
Right. And I'm curious about your conversation with the bookseller in Athens, Georgia that you mentioned earlier. And I just wonder, knowing what I know of book publishing and also book retailing and book selling, I wonder if there are any efforts underway similar to I guess like a company like Smashwords, which publishes ebooks, obviously doesn't have the size of the audience of the Amazon Kindle. But I wonder if there are any efforts underway of a company like Smashwords, like somehow coordinating with independent booksellers.
I would love for that to be the case. I think there are a few possibilities. One is the book wholesaler company Ingram Spark. They can distribute to independent bookstores as well as to Amazon, to Barnes & Noble, and all these different outlets. And I think booksellers are a little bit more amenable to that, to indie authors taking that option, because Amazon doesn't benefit as directly as they do from an indie author publishing through KDP Select or whatever the program is. But ideally, yes, there would be a Smashwords that was focused on distributing to indie bookstores. One website that in just the past year and a half, the timing was great for the pandemic, that's come on the scene is bookshop.org. If you're familiar with them, they basically serve as the indie book world's Amazon. You go onto Bookshop and you can choose your local bookstore that you want to support. And then whatever orders you place through the site, the lion's share of the profit goes to that bookstore. Right. Which is great for stores who don't have their own online presence and distribution and fulfillment system. But in a perfect world, I think Bookshop would be a little more decentralized and cooperatively owned among every indie bookstore in the country. And on the back end would have the system that you're talking about, the Smashwords, the ability for indie authors to distribute their work to as many indie bookstores as they can.
Got it. So again, can you remind people where they can go to buy tickets for your documentary, The Books Tour?
Yes, sir. The tickets are available at thebookstourfilm.com. Bookstour is BOOKSTOUR, thebookstourfilm.com. And for $10, you can buy a ticket for a digital rental, which will be available just in mid-July. Or for a little bit more, for $25, you can attend the virtual premiere. We'll call it the worldwide premiere of the film. And we'll do a quick Q&A afterward and have some other little fun bonuses as well. And again, all of that is at thebookstourfilm.com. All of the money that we raise with these ticket sales goes to the Book Industry Charitable Foundation.
Great. Again, we've been speaking with Mason Engel, the creator of a new documentary, The Books Tour, as he just explained. You can check it out at bookstour.com or bookstourfilm.com.
thebookstourfilm.com.
Thebookstourfilm.com. And I'll have a link to that in the show notes. And I also wanted to mention there will be a trailer at thebookstourfilm.com, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
That they can check out of the documentary. Mm-hmm. So again, that's thebookstourfilm.com, and I'll have a link to that in the show notes. And Mason, thanks for doing this.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate you taking time for me.
And it just occurred to me, one thing that we didn't mention. Do you want to mention the book that you did publish, the name of it?
I've actually been holding off on doing that because I'm trying to make this as much about the stores as possible. Sure. I appreciate your asking, though.
Yeah. Not a problem. Now, stay tuned for an audio excerpt from Mason Engel's documentary Books Tour. In this excerpt, independent bookstores discuss their various book club options for their customers. Stay tuned for the audio excerpt.
I think we have 17 regular monthly book clubs.
We have a science fiction and horror book club,
a graphic novel book club,
Understanding the Middle East book club,
romance book club,
children's book clubs,
true crime book club.
We've started saying, hey, come to our book club. You need to meet people. This is a great way to meet people in the community and to connect.
We sometimes think about reading as this solitary act, but I don't think it is.
The book is a perfect social tool.
There's like no quicker way to make a friend than realizing they have the same favorite book as you.
In the case of a book club, it can be the focus of a group of people getting together and talking about something, or it can just be your excuse to get together.
We need books in order to connect in that way because it isn't easy to do it on our own.
Books do a lot of things to bridge a gap that leads to communicating, but I think one of them is inciting empathy.
You are really getting to know one another without necessarily having to ask personal questions.
It just gives you a space to talk about hard topics without you being the villain or without you being the victim.
Things reveal themselves in conversation and sharing that might not have if you just read the book by yourself.
Which makes bookstores a perfect place for conversations and discussions that can't go on at a commissioner's meeting.
This is probably one of the real values of having a book club that meets at a bookstore. Different people
from disparate backgrounds
can come together
and just talk.
Northern Kentucky University delivers an innovative, student-centered education that celebrates diversity and encourages all learners to become outstanding leaders in this global society. You belong here at NKU, the university without barriers. Visit nku.edu for more information.
If you're addicted to love, get ready to binge your heart out on Discovery Plus. Stream exclusive originals or classics like The Bachelor. Plus, you can explore the entire 90-day universe. From the original series to new favorites like The Single Life. With Discovery Plus, you can get all the yeses, all the dresses, and all the hot messes for just $4.99. Discovery Plus is the streaming home of relationships, plus so much more. Start your free trial today.